I'm in 5743 Jeffery Place in Fairfield, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues or like root intrusion, basically anything that would be of concern to the buyer. The access point here is a floor clean out in the front of the basement, like front center. Just in the little storage area. If you come down to the bottom of the steps, looking towards the front of the house, if you go to your right and into that little storage room, it's right there in the floor. And you'll need an Allen head or an Allen key to get it open, but it's laying right next to the clean out. There's also a clean out in the stack in the rear in the laundry room, but it has a PVC cap in a cast iron stack, and it has some packing around the threads. It indicates to me that it has leaked, and so if I was to remove that, I would have to either repair it or at least replace that cap, because I think that's not the right cap for that opening. And so I don't want to be responsible for it leaking if I leave and it's not completely sealed. And based off of what is there, it indicates to me that it has leaked and somebody just packed a bunch of like plumber's putty around it to keep it from leaking. So I'm not going to remove that cap. What it does do is it does limit us, because the floor clean out, most likely, I don't know 100% yet, but they usually have sweeps in them when they were put in the cast iron, meaning that it'll force the camera to go outside or towards the street. And you can see there's some foam or something in it. I haven't even gotten into the line yet. It's just some soap bubbles. It's not. So, see, it is holding a little bit of water. If you look close, you can tell it's barely above. You can see the surface, and it's barely above the top of the camera. The camera is only about a half an inch off the bottom of the pipe, so if I end up not being able to see, I should be able to put like a standoff on the camera and hopefully be able to raise the camera up and take a look at the pipe. It could just be that there's something here like this that's holding some water. It could be a belly right here. Now see, since I was pushing that and pulling back, it looks like so it does look like there's a belly. And so go ahead out to about 15 feet, I believe, and then we'll come out of that belly. So we'll go ahead and push out, and then we'll see what we can see on the way out, and then as we pull back, we'll try to evaluate that belly right there that we see. Just kind of taking a look at that. There may be some old roots or something up there on the top, but nothing active. Looks like we're going into PVC, so the line may have been replaced. You can see that black stuff in that gap, that is a rubber coupling. They call them Firmcos. It's usually the brand name. And what that does is it allows you to connect PVC to clay. Obviously you can't glue. The only way to attach two different materials to one another is to use a rubber boot, basically, that holds the two together. So what you're seeing there is not a gap going into the earth, it's just a spot where that rubber coupling goes from one material to the other, and you can just kind of see it where it's, you know, they pushed it together, but I guess it didn't actually hit the two pipes. It's very common for this to work that way, so not an issue. And so they may have replaced this line all the way out to the street. Now, probably at one point, due to the material, the clay that would have been original, that clay, looking out front at all the trees, it was probably full of roots, and so they had this replaced. Now, looks like what happened though is they had it replaced, and it does have a decent sized belly in it. Nothing major that I could see, but well, again, we're going to have to put a standoff on this camera to raise the camera lens up a little bit to take a better look at this. This isn't a whole lot of water. As far as, you know, like I said, the camera lens is only about half an inch off the bottom of the pipe, and this is a 6-inch diameter pipe, so really not a lot of water. But we still have some root intrusion here, 65 feet. Now I do know in Fairfield that if you, as a homeowner, you can actually get one free inspection of the line per year. I've talked to the city of Fairfield, and I do know that they will come out and camera the line for you for free once a year. I don't know where they take responsibility, but based off of where the repair was made, this all looks like just some more root intrusion, that they may have been putting some root killer down here, and that's why it looks like it's kind of glazed over where the roots get in. I have a feeling we're going to just go ahead and make a whole second pass anyway. We'll check all this out, and then we'll see, pull back how far, how much of the line we'll have to re-inspect with with something on the front of the camera. Based off of the how far away the street is, I expect this to be coming up to the main here soon. We are out. Let's see, there we go. We are at the main there. And so we'll pull back and take another look, but I probably will have to inspect maybe the first 50 feet or so over again with a standoff on the camera. So the main thing here is that I did see a little bit of root intrusion. So I'm going to locate, because like this is at the tap, and so this would be, if there's any damage here, this just looks like some, almost like stalactites or whatever. It doesn't look like any active roots. And the flow line is wide open. And so that just looks like a buildup of mineral deposits from groundwater coming through. And so the surprising part here is that we have a decent amount of flow coming through the line all of a sudden. I may have got it to the point where things were maybe I'll push some things along that will help the line flow a little bit. I do know that the house is vacant, so I don't know how long it's been vacant. So there's a big part of this that isn't really any, it doesn't look great, but it's nothing that is causing any major issues. Like this here, this kind of looks like mineral deposits also. It's just rough. It's not really any visible roots or anything like that. So far from the main, it was about 110 feet or so, all the way back to this point. This all looks good. See, there's this spot there too, and I don't know if that's roots. That could be some root intrusion. Sometimes when they put chemicals down here, this is kind of what it looks like when it covers over. If you put like a root killer down here to kill back the roots, a lot of times you'll see this kind of coating around the end of it, where they're no longer active, but they're coated. And so I'm going to say this is some root intrusion at about 75-76 feet. But like I said, you can use a root killer if you know you have trees like this and you have root intrusion, and a lot of times people will put it's called Root X, and it's a foaming chemical that foams up. You put it down there before you go to bed. It catches the foam kind of catches on the roots, and then it kind of burns back or kills back the roots, keeps them from growing any longer, and keeps them out of the flow line so that it can keep your line open. And a lot of times when they do that, this is kind of what the aftermath looks like is that white coating, also some other materials from the line flowing can look like that, because the area of the pipe that's being closed off a little bit, that does look like coated root intrusion. Here's a good deal of root intrusion here also. But none of this is active. I mean, it doesn't require immediate attention, but it is something that will need to be maintained in the future, either with a cleaning, using either a mechanical cleaning or a jetter, or you'll have to, or you could use the chemical like I talked about before, about once a year. And sometimes with as big as wide open as the flow line is, this isn't anything that would need to happen soon. And if you did use that the chemical treatment within the first year, it should keep this flow line open. This is very, very common. I should say that. Getting roots in the line is very, very common. Especially with clay lines. They're in 3-foot sections, and so there's a lot of connections in between pipe sections, and so what happens is that over the years the packing at those joints breaks down a little bit and it starts allowing root intrusion in. There are permanent solutions such as lining the pipe or just digging it up and replacing it, and you can see that they've already done that to a major section of the pipe. You can see right here. And so you have PVC from 54 feet. Let's see, we do have a little bit of a belly here. And this isn't uncommon for this either when they replace sections of pipe, is that the line will, after they backfill, 9 or 10 feet of dirt on top of it, it'll sink a little bit over time, it'll settle. And so you can see from this point that it's not overly large belly, it's not even half the pipe of water, and because of how slick the PVC is, the water will just, it'll get level and then get to that level and just overtake it. And as long as, with PVC, as long as it's not leaching out into the ground, then it won't beach and cause a backup. But from 47 you can see the belly really doesn't start until right about here at 52 feet. So from about 47 to 52 feet, there's a belly. And pull back through to that. So you can see how it flashes enough when we pull back that it's not very neat. And then it comes out right here. And like I said, it's pretty normal when they do a repair like that for it to sink if it's, after it's been put in the ground. And as long as one side is lower than the other, overall, the water will overtake that little low spot pretty easy. So it looks like they replaced a good deal of this from 33 to 54 feet. So they replaced about 20 feet of pipe. It was probably full of roots. So they tried to, they were obviously trying to keep the roots down, and they did in that section. A little here. See there, same kind of thing. I think they've been putting a chemical down here. And this all looks good in through here. About 15 feet. It's about 5 to 15 feet. So about the first 10 feet inside the line does have a little belly in it too. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to go get a standoff for the camera so that we can put that on there and just kind of push the camera up so we can try to inspect that part of the line above the water line, so we can just take a look at it structurally and make sure it's just that belly in there and not a structural issue or a large structural issue. Okay, we're going to pull the camera out, and hopefully the standoff is enough to just keep the camera head out of the water so we can take a look. Okay. Standoff on the camera, so we're going to try to go back through now and see if we can take a better look at those spots that are holding a little bit of water. There we go. So I don't see any structural issues. And when you pull back, it's a little frustrating because you can see the flashes, and so it's about a 1-inch belly, so it's about a medium belly there. You can see this is where we have that belly marked at about 15 feet, and so it looks like the line sank at the house, which is not, again, it's not really uncommon. Usually when it does, if the house sinks at all, or I shouldn't say sinks, but if the house settles, a lot of times it'll drop the sewer line a little bit with it. And you can see, we were able to see the top throughout the whole time, and there's no structural damage to the pipe. It's just got a belly in it. Same with the interior here, as we get back into the cast iron, and now I'm vertical. And so there is a belly from the base of this clean out to about 15 feet, which is between 5 and 15, or about 10 feet away from this clean out. So it's from the base of here out 10 feet, but on the video it's going to be from 5 feet to 15 feet, just based off of it's measured by the rotation of this drum. If you look at the bottom, I can do it without the camera moving, and so it's not always perfect, so we use that as a reference point on the video. But yeah, I didn't see anything structural as far as anything broke or anything like that. You do have a little bit of settling. Like I said, the first 10 feet from the base of the clean out, or from 5 to 15 feet on the video, there is about a 1-inch belly, which means it's dropped about an inch out of a 6-inch diameter pipe. There were no solids in that area that look like it's holding anything. But along with that, you do have interior cast iron, and so I always like to make sure that people know cast iron is more susceptible to soft clogs, which means excessive toilet paper. You definitely don't want to use any wet wipes or anything, because the inside of a cast iron pipe is rusty, and so it can catch things that other materials wouldn't. And so it's a little more common to have those soft clogs. They're easy to clear, but using something like wet wipes, toilet paper will break down into nothing and just continue on with the water, and it's not a big deal. But wet wipes and paper towels, stuff like that, if you flush those kind of things, they tend to catch really easy on the cast iron, and they can back up the sewer line. So just always want to make sure that I inform people of that. But structurally the line looks good, and you just have, again, a belly between 5 and 15 feet on the video, and then there was also a section of PVC, so a section of the original clay was replaced with PVC from 33 feet out to about 54 feet on the video there. And in the midst of that, there's a belly, about a 5-foot long belly on that, that's, roughly an inch deep, that is not a major issue. It's in the, things aren't getting caught or anything. It's just holding a little bit of water from the installation. I'm sure it's been there since it was installed. And there's a few spots of roots, minor roots. They're not obstructing flow at all right now, but just something that you'll need to know for future maintenance. You probably either want to use a chemical, which looks like that's what's been going on for a few years. It looks like they've been using a chemical to keep the roots back. And so you want to do that, and then I would also recommend an inspection, a re-inspection in a few years. You just kind of see where the roots are at, and make sure that there's no major issues. But as I mentioned before, being in Fairfield, I know I've spoken to people that work for their sewer department, and they do offer a once-a-year inspection, similar to what we did here today. They would offer that. I believe it's once a year. Every homeowner can have one free inspection. So it might be something you want to take advantage of by calling them up in a year or so and having them come out and camera the line and tell them how, tell you how everything looks. We don't know what the inside, the cast iron underneath the floor looks like. Based off of what I saw when we exited, it should be in good shape. It was holding shape. It didn't have a bunch of buildup or rust on it. But due to the, you'll probably want to remove the clean out the clean out cap that's in that stack, and have it replaced with either an expansion plug or something better to keep that from leaking, because I think it's not leaking now, but it may be something, if you ever have to open it, you're going to have to replace that cap with something that's better than what's there now. A lot of times you'll use a PVC, when they use a PVC cap in a cast iron clean out like that, the threads don't match up, and that's probably why it was leaking. They should have used either a brass clean out cap or an expansion plug with rubber seals to go into that, and then they wouldn't have had the problem with it leaking. That may have been all they had though. So at any rate, again, the line looked good structurally. It just has a few things that are going to require some maintenance, and so I would recommend a second opinion by a licensed plumber to take a look at the video and see if they think that there's anything there that's more severe than my opinion. I don't think that those bellies and the root intrusion, they're not anything that can't be taken care of with maintenance, but they may think that it's more drastic than that, and they may recommend aligning, like I said before, to completely get rid of the roots forever. You could do some lining, but that's a very expensive. It's about as expensive as it would be to dig it up and replace the rest of the line. So, I think I've given quite a bit of information here, so I'm just going to recommend that the you stay on it with the maintenance, and it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get a second opinion by a licensed plumber about the severity of those bellies, and just to get their opinion. But that'll end the inspection at 5743 Jefferey Place in Fairfield, Ohio.